just how careful you gotta be to make any of the tiniest changes that you make, because the consequences down the road may be tremendously terrible for the city, for property owners up within the city. And so I think that what we should try and do here would be to follow along with Tricia's latest thought there of trying to get that corrected or smoothed out or whatever it takes to get the job done. And so that Mr. Schmidt is satisfied that he's got a doable situation to deal with here, and that the city can walk away from this and with a good feeling about looking out for the welfare of its citizenry. And I think that's what we're all about here in the first place. Either that or we don't belong here in the first place.
Ms. Rosenfeld, you said something about this is guided mixed housing, medium to high density, R7?
Mr. Mayor, it's guided medium to high density residential, which could be
Okay.
either R3 or R7 in terms of our
Okay.
current zoning map.
How about R3, Mr. Vose? Does that fit in the rubric that you were discussing earlier? Within that, so if it stays R3, or if the future use is R3, then, because right now it's designated R3 on this map. So are we looking at a way here to maintain its current use and designation while guiding it, continuing continuing to consider it single and two family, and we can make an amendment to the comp plan in 5 years, whenever Mr. Schmidt is ready to develop this thing? I mean, are we looking at that without having to go through a lot of hoops to change the comp plan? Is that a possibility here? If we just leave it, I'm not going to say leave it, but if it's considered R3 right now, that fits in with what you were saying. It could still be used as he's currently using it, and then an amendment or a revision can be made, say in 5 years or 10 years or whatever, when the next, we do these every 10 years, right?
Mr.
And we
Mayor,
start the
council
process.
members, the Met Council requires us to do a comp plan every 10 years.
Right.
With our past growth patterns, it was suggested we do one every 5. We can make an amendment whenever we choose to do that, or whenever it's been requested and approved by council.
Okay. If we do that with this parcel, after some more discussion, perhaps we'll kick this out of this meeting. We might not make a decision tonight, but would we be able to do that? Would we be able to make an amendment in 5 years without screwing things up for us right now? I mean, can we push this thing through to Met Council? Because we got to submit this thing. True?
Correct.
Yeah. So you're looking for a resolution tonight, but if we could leave this the way Mr. Schmidt wants it and make a revision, say in 5 years or whenever it seems appropriate, is that going to work? Will we
Mr.
be able to
Mayor,
make that resolution
if we
tonight?
leave this property as it is currently zoned today, we would have to make that amendment request currently, if I understand Mr. Vos correctly.
Amendment to the Met Council. Right.
Correct.
Instantly.
Yep. And then that would kick in the whole, we have to redo the whole thing. Now, is there another way to do this?
Yeah, Mayor and council members, there is a separate process for amending comp plans separate from the decennial update. And in theory, very modest amendments to comp plans can be processed just by the staff. It doesn't have to go in front of the Met Council board for a vote, and that all can be expedited. But I think the Met Council is fairly busy right now with other cities that are in the middle of their comp plan update. And so I don't know, I certainly wouldn't want to, don't want to speak for the county, and really don't want to speak for the Met Council about how quickly they could deal with that. I don't know that as I sit here now. And Mayor, just to make clear for the record, I think what Mr. Schmidt wants is A2, which is sort of beige, not R3, which is yellow. And my understanding is that the beige color, A2, isn't consistent with the comp plan guiding, which is medium or high density
Right.
residential.
But Mr. Schmidt, your future plans for this are not A2.
My future plans are not determined. I would like to think that someday, and it may not be me, it may be my son or someone else, I would consider, there's townhomes on the south side of Southern Oaks First Edition, back townhomes across the street from that, possibly R7. That's a guess. If we rezone it to R3, well, that's the way it is. That doesn't allow it for R7 down the road, and that's one of the reasons why I said in the first place, two wrongs don't make a right. Meaning, why rezone it to something that really doesn't fit, and it would have to be rezoned again at some point because it's zoned R3, and if we were gonna go multifamily, you'd have to split it and go through all that. My question is, am I being told that it could be rezoned to R3 or R7, but the property classification could still stay ag homestead? Or I'm tell you the truth, this is a little over my head, and I'm not enjoying it as well. So there.
You could sit down if you want.
But yeah, Mayor and council member and Mr.
Yep.
Schmidt, I think what we're saying is it's likely that what you just said is true, whether it is zoned A2, R3, or R7. If the historic use has been for ag, it's been farmed, and that's going to continue, the property classification shouldn't change. It would continue to be ag land as long as it's used as ag land. I think that is the most likely result at the county.
No guarantees, but, yeah.
If I just may add a comment, and Councilmember Trost can elaborate, the City Council does have authority and control when it comes to some of the value and classification for the Board of Review, the Board of Equalization. So if Mr. Schmidt receives notice that the classification or the value has had some major change, he has the right to approach this board with his information, and this board has some authorities and controls, and Councilmember Trost is our representative and can elaborate on that.
Yes. We've never had one, but that's correct.
But we've had other situations where we've kicked them up to the county, and we've made strong recommendations from this board to that board, so.
We've done it